The three top leaders in the Clark County Sheriff's Office will be retiring at the end of the year. Combined, their public service is over a century. They are Sheriff Garry Lucas, Undersheriff Joe Dunegan, and Deputy Criminal Chief Michael Evans.
The sheriff is the keeper of the jail. The sheriff is the executive arm of the court. The sheriff is responsible to serve subpoenas, to enforce the orders of the court, and the sheriff is responsible for law enforcement in the unincorporated area of the county.
I'm the number 2 guy behind the sheriff. It's more or less just staying on top of the agency as a whole, representing the sheriff when the sheriff's not available, and just make sure that things stay on an even keel.
I am the chief that's responsible for the law enforcement functions of the office of sheriff. So, patrol, detectives, canine, the SWAT officers, our mobile response teams, tactical detective unit, traffic, marine.
These three top leaders have spent their entire careers in the Clark County Sheriff's Office, moving up the ranks to the eventual position they presently hold.
Well, I got hired at the Sheriff's Office in July 1st, 1977, and I was hired as a corrections officer in the jail. My responsibility was for taking care of inmate population, and there was usually only 2 of us working a shift, and sometimes just 1 back in the day. So it was interesting and kind of scary. What I learned very quickly was how to better communicate, how to talk, how to use words to de-escalate a situation, because like I said, I'm not a very big guy. I was sometimes alone on the shift, so you had to use communication.
During my schooling years, I was a musician. I was a professional musician before I came to work here, and I played trumpet, and my trumpet always took me places. My senior year, I got a call to play and tour with the Glenn Miller Orchestra, and so I did that and recorded some albums and toured the world, and amazing experiences. For some reason, there's just been a lifelong allure, a draw to being in policing. I started out as a patrol deputy in June of 1978. We had some orientation, and then we were assigned to what's called an FTO. It's a field training officer, also known as a coach. And so I rode with the coach, and then after that, after a couple months, we went to the basic academy. And after the basic academy, we had more FTO time, and then released to solo patrol.
When I was hired on, the sheriff was not sending deputies to basic law enforcement academy. So I got handed a set of car keys, a hat badge, and a coat badge. And told to go commit law enforcement. There were no districts. You were free to go wherever you wanted in the county. I and my partner were the only 2 cars in the county, and if one of us had an arrest, there was only 1 car free in the county. The sheriff had 44 total employees and a budget of $550,000 at the beginning of 1969.
With a steady increase in population and demand for services, today the Clark County Sheriff's Office has a staff of just over 400 and an annual budget of $50 million. In 1990, with the then sheriff retiring, Garry Lucas made his first of 6 successful runs for the Clark County Sheriff.
The previous sheriff had named an heir apparent, and I just wasn't content with sitting back and letting things take the course that the former sheriff planned. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and we managed to win that one.
Sheriff Lucas's leadership style through 24 years has been to delegate authority, empower staff to do their job, be a good listener, and lead by example, by not asking others to do what he was not willing to do himself.
Hello there.
Did I do something wrong?
Yes, ma'am. You blew through the red light.
I did?
Yes, ma'am. There's a red light for the left turn.
Public service wasn't really high on my mind and high on my priorities. when I hired on. Going into law enforcement was going to be just an exciting job. That was going to be fun. It was a few years into the job, I think, that I started realizing that you really are performing a public service, and you really are doing something valuable to the for the community, for my community.
You know, I was a 22-year-old kid who just came off the road touring with Glenn Miller, and I was given authority. I didn't know what that authority really meant. All I knew is that I wanted to be a police officer and I wanted to help people. And then as my career has gone on, I've come to realize just the depth and breadth and responsibility. You know, the community puts so much responsibility and trust in us, and it's not an easy burden, and it's not one we should take lightly. And I would say that as my career has progressed, I've realized more and more what our responsibility is, and the trust that the community places upon us, and how fragile that trust is, and how it's to be honored and protected.
During that time, we've worked hard to forge meaningful community partnerships to attack crime, solve neighborhood problems, and reduce the fear of crime. We have established citizen advisory boards at the policy and operational level of the office. We have established deputy liaisons to our neighborhood associations. We've worked with our partner law enforcement agencies to leverage our resources and provide better service to all citizens of the county. If you look back over the last 24 years, we've done what we said we would do. We've established community partnerships with many of our communities in the county. Worked hard to build and strengthen those relationships. We've been nationally accredited law enforcement agency since 1986.
On behalf of the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, CALEA, gaining internationally accredited status is a distinction held by very few. The certificate clearly represents the agency's voluntary efforts to achieve accredited status, thereby demonstrating its willingness to change in order to effectively address contemporary public safety concerns. It represents a commitment to doing the right thing and doing it the right way.
It's with great pride and honor that we accept the accreditation award. Most of the folks in the organization have grown up that way, and they know no other way of doing business. And I appreciate the hard work that they do for you every day. Thank you.
The most difficult for me to cope with is how do you compartmentalize or deal with the things you see, the smells you smell, the things you hear, because they never go away. For example, you know, visions that are burned in my head as I help recover one of Wesley Allen Dodd's victims. And I'll never forget, you know, seeing that young boy laying in the ditch.
I have 2 pallet jacks. Perfect.
Well, I'm headed to a meeting right now that I'm pretty proud of. 18 years ago, we started a program called Santa's Posse. We wanted to provide some food and some toys for needy families at Christmas time. Members of my Rotary Club and members of the Sheriff's Office decided we were going to help 25 families that first year. This year we will do 750 or so families.
For 24 years, being a part of that executive team that's, I think, done some amazing, wonderful things for our community, and being part of the Clark County Sheriff's Office for as long as I have, and being a decision maker in direction for the Clark County Sheriff's Office, that's a pretty good feeling, and something that I'm actually very, very proud of.
I think the thing that I will miss the most is being a part of something that has an ability to make life in this community better, where I have an impact on people's lives so that the quality of life improves, so that Clark County is a better, safer place to live, because I've been a part of something that contributes to that positive growth and that sense of fulfillment and sense of accomplishment.
He's been appointed by the governor to his third term as a member of the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission, having served as its chair in a previous term, and is the chairman of the Washington State Region 4 Homeland Security Council, a member and past president of the Washington chapter of the FBI National Academy Associates, and member of the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, National Sheriffs Association, International Association of Chiefs of Police, Vancouver Sunrise Rotary, and past president of the Clark County Genealogical Society. You gotta say a few words, you never do, man.
With that bio he read and $5 you can get a cup of coffee any place in Clark County.
This may sound funny, it may sound a little egotistical or whatever, but following in the footsteps of Garry Lucas for the next administration, I think is going to be a challenge, because I think there's expectations out there. Being able to come in and pick up where Garry Lucas and Gary's team have left off, I think is going to be a challenge for any new administration.
Y'all know who I am. I have been very grateful for, first of all, the folks who work in our organization. They really are a class act, and they really do go out of their way to serve the people of Clark County. And it's not that we don't have our problems here, but we have a plethora of people in the county, in our cities, that are willing to invest their time, their talent, and their resources in being part of a solution. And I guess I've been extremely grateful for people in our organization and our community.